when I usually go through e-distribution, I do a number of different things. You can hook up software to this. You can do a number of different things. I personally like to sort through. I don't like to get stuff that a lot of other people are going after. So one thing that you'll learn when you start working with wholesalers is they tell you either want to be first to market, or you want to be last to market, or you want to be selling things that aren't necessarily top brands that everybody else is going after, because you're going to have a number of other competitors. Now, there's nothing wrong with competitors with wholesale, because if you're sharing the buy box with other sellers that are more experienced, then generally you're all going to share the sales, and it's okay to do that. That said, I like to approach it a little bit differently, so I'll literally just randomly click a brand at, when I have some downtime, right? And I'll sort through that brand to see, and we're talking like obviously like Star Wars, right? Or like top name brands like Hasbro or Mattel or anything like that. So EE Distribution mainly focuses on toys, but there are a number of other wholesale arbitrage, wholesalers online that you can sort through. Just Google some, or reverse engineer it, search a brand on Amazon and figure out in Google who sells that brand and how to find wholesalers for that brand, okay? But I like to randomly do it because I think that that's one of the best ways to find other products that people aren't basically doing that. Everybody has their own system, but I like to just sort through randomly. So what I'll do is I'll either come over to like one of the companies like Bandai or like Hasbro or like Funko Pop, right? And I stay away from Funko Pop because that's like a major trend right now that it seems like Amazon is literally on every listing and everybody's going out and buying that because they seem to be profitable. But obviously, just like any pendulum, I expect it to swing back in the other direction, and I don't want to get caught with a lot of inventory when that happens. Just my opinion. It could be right, it could be wrong, but that's just how I like to approach it. So like I said, I'll either click a random company or I'll literally come up and they tell you that one of the ways that EE Distribution is set up is that there's literally an A in every single listing. So if you search A initially, this is like the first thing they tell you in orientation, then you're going to find literally a list of their entire website's stock and inventory, right? So literally all their listings have an A in it somewhere on purpose. So what I'll do instead is I'll type a random letter in there, or maybe two random letters. So let's say like a P, right? And that's going to search through all the listings on their site that have a P in them, which obviously isn't the entirety of all of their listings, okay? And like I said, I like to keep it random, so that's what I like to do from time to time if I'm not literally going down and searching for like a theme or a specific company and then sorting through, right? And I'll click in stock only because I'm not interested in ordering a back order thing, and I'm not interested in finding anything that's coming in the future, so I want to click the in stock only button. Also, keep in mind that with liquidation companies and wholesalers, you need to have a reseller certificate. So once you want to apply, you need to go to if you don't have a reseller certificate already, I'm assuming most of you that have made it this far into the video do. If you don't, you need to go to irs.gov and get an EIN number, and then you need to file that EIN number with your state website to get a reseller certificate. And that reseller certificate is what you're going to use to get accepted to wholesale websites like EE Distribution, okay? The reason is for taxes, so that you're getting products ahead of time that haven't been taxed initially, that are wholesale prices, so that you can make the money, and obviously it's your duty to then pay taxes on them later and collect sales tax when you sell it on Amazon, okay? Little bit backstory of that. Obviously, the majority of you guys probably already know that. So, now basically what I do is I sort through and I literally look at the suggested retail price, because that gives me an indication, not always, of what it potentially might sell for on Amazon, right? And I also look at the price per purchase. So if I buy 3 to 12 pieces, right, that's what it's going to be. If I buy 15 plus pieces, that's what it's going to be per unit. So can I make money off this? Well, potentially, because if I do buy more than 15 pieces of this, if it's selling well, right, then I would be getting each unit at $30.60 to my door, and I could potentially sell them all for $45.99, maybe more, maybe less, right? That's just an indication what it might be selling for on Amazon and around that. So I would probably not go with this one because the margin doesn't look too enticing for the risk of $30, right? I might make after fees like $3 or $4 on that after all the fees and shipping into FBA and everything. So I'm going to avoid that, but I'm just trying to explain to you the way that I approach it, okay? Next thing's right here, so that's $14. So make sure that you're checking here in stock too at the top, right? And then this says temporarily out of stock, okay? So this is $14.99 is a suggested retail price. Again, an indicator of what it might be selling for on Amazon, okay? My price would be $9.95 if I buy 48 or more, or $10.71 if I buy 8 to 40 of them. So that's also not a good one. And keep in mind too, that just like I hit on in the beginning, you're not just going to hop on, type a random letter in, or look through random things right here. I do this in my spare time, when I have some downtime and I just want to potentially find a good product to make an extra 100 or a couple $100 on. This is exactly what I do. That's how I scale it, in my spare time, because I don't do online arbitrage full time. I probably do it 10 to 30 hours a week maybe. I don't really count. But if you did want to scale this up, you could obviously really, really go in full-heartedly and spend, 5 to 10 hours a day sourcing and finding good products, and then you could scale it up like that, okay? So you are going to have to sort through and find sort through a bunch of different products and figure out what's potentially profitable. So you might swing and miss 100 times, right? You could swing and miss twice and then get lucky on your third one. Probably won't happen, but you never know. So you need to swing and miss a bunch of different times, but all you need to do is find that one listing that you can buy cheap on a site like this that's a wholesale site, and then it's selling for more, and it also has a good sales velocity on Amazon that you could then sell for a profit, and then you buy many of that quantity, right? So you get the picture. You want to go down and you want to do product research. So $10.99, $6.60, probably knowing what I know, probably not going to make me much money, if at all. Now, if I needed to research this, I would basically take the title, right? So Rick and Morty, Pickle Rick with Laser Pop vinyl figure, and I would take that into Amazon and search it and do product research, because none of it matters if it's not actually selling on Amazon for a profit and selling well. So it looks like this is it right there, and this is temporarily out of stock, but I'm just showing you how to do product research. So we got the Rick and Morty vinyl figure. It looks like this one, because that's with the case. We don't have the case. So this is selling for $9.83 on Amazon. Amazon is selling it, which is something I usually like to stay away from with wholesale. Not always. I've been testing certain things out lately and finding out that they do indeed share the buy box with you, and you can make sales. It's not a big deal. But with wholesale, if I'm buying a number of inventory, right, like 50 or 100 or something like that, I generally prefer to stay away from Amazon listings where Amazon is actually selling it and owning the buy box, but that's just with wholesale, okay? So it's selling for $9.83, just to give you an example. So obviously, and keep in mind too that if you do, one of the things I say with a lot of my arbitrage is you want to take the ASIN into Seller Central and make sure that you can sell it, but you don't need to do that when you're sourcing with a wholesale site like EE Distribution, because if you're buying and you're intending to buy more than 10 units of that actual product, you can use EE Distribution's invoice, not the pro forma invoice, but the actual invoice that you get after purchasing and it ships. You can use that invoice to get ungated in those top brands on Amazon, okay? So you don't need to actually research to see if you can sell it, because you will get accepted once you request approval and submit your invoice with EE Distribution's invoice, okay? So $9.83, what could I potentially get it for? Let's say I buy 108 of these, because I already know that this isn't going to be profitable most likely. So we're going to buy it for $6.40. I'm going to say, so $6.40, I'm going to say about 5 cents a piece to ship into Amazon, whether I ship it from my house in bulk into Amazon FBA, or I have EE Distribution ship it from their warehouse directly into FBA and label for me. I'm still not profitable. I'm losing $1.38 per unit if it's selling at $9.83 on Amazon, because obviously you see the fulfillment fee, you see the referral fee, etc., etc. Okay, so that's not a profitable one, but just to give you an idea, you'd want to go through and you'd want to sort through all of these and figure out, okay, this one you can buy potentially for $19.50, you can sell it for $29.99. Do all the product research. Are you profitable? Now let me show you an example of one that I did find that is profitable right here. As you see, I'm finding $47.03 per unit roughly. Now I do expect, it looks like it's a fairly new listing. I do expect that to shrink considerably as more and more people get into it. But even if it shrinks by 50%, I'm still making over $20 a unit on this. So this is a potential good product, right? So Star Wars The Black Series Archive action figures. I found that already. Literally those four, right? You got, I think that's like Darth Maul. I don't even know. It's Darth Maul, Anakin, the Stormtrooper, and Yoda. Darth Maul, Anakin, the Stormtrooper, and Yoda. Boom. Same one. I'm buying it for... So the suggested retail price is a lot lower, actually. That's why I expect it to somewhat go down, but not all. Because look, if you look on this listing, it's selling for $81.99. That's the buy box price. but there's 9 other people on here with all roughly the same price in their listings, right? So everybody's pretty much agreed that this is what we want to set the market at. Now, I do expect it to shrink as more and more people hop on, and then we slowly start to see a race to the bottom, but I don't expect that to happen within the next 2 weeks potentially, where my units get into FBA. Maybe it drops down to 50, maybe it drops down to like 60, I don't know, but there's still a market for it there. And even if it drops down to like 40, right, I can still make money because I'm getting this at $15.56 a unit if I buy 32 or more, which is what I plan on doing, right? So let's do a little bit of the math. I'm buying $15.56 a unit. So $15.56 a unit, right? I'm going to say it's going to take me like 5 cents to ship it into FBA because I'm going to actually have EE Distribution do it for me and label all my stuff. And if I'm buying 52 of them, scaled over all that, it's going to be super cheap to get them to send it in for me. So then what's my potential profit margin if I sell it for $81.99? Okay, my potential profit margin is a little under $50 right here. It's $48.68. Now let's assume that the purchase price drops down, the buy box price drops down all the way to like $49.99, right? Well, I'm still making $21.48 a unit. So even if it dropped down to $49.99, which is currently at $81.99, let me show you some calculators right here because I love to run the numbers and figure out my profit margin. It's one of my favorite things to do. $21.48. To get the $15.56 price, I would have to buy 32 of these units. So where's my calculator? So $21.48 times 32 equals $687 just for buying these, having EE Distribution ship them into FBA, and then recouping my profit on Amazon. Okay, so let's assume that it doesn't drop down at all, or let's say it drops down to like $79.99, right? Well, then I'm making $46.98. $46.98 times 32, and that is a $1,500 profit margin. And maybe that takes a month to sell, maybe it takes 2 months to sell, or maybe the trend starts bucking and it starts to pick up traction since it is a fairly new listing, and maybe it only takes a week to sell. Now keep in mind, I'm not going to have race to the bottom pricing. I'll have my repricing software set this up for all my FBA units in here for my wholesale to literally match the buy box. So if even someone new comes in, it's just going to match them. And it's just going to match them. I'm not into like a penny less because then it's just going to set off a repricing war all the way down to the bottom. I plan to match the buy box here, and then hopefully I can make maybe $500 to $1,500 potentially, depending on the price and the buy box price, when my units get into FBA.